So it's a pleasure for me to invite Elaine Shallcross to the Pickleball Addiction podcast. Welcome, Elaine.
Thank you very much. It's good to be here. Lovely to have a chat with you.
Oh, yeah, no, thanks for agreeing to come on. I know that it's been a bit of a struggle to connect, but we've managed to get there in the end.
Oh, I know. It's been all my fault. I do apologise. Couple of senior moments thrown in there.
Well, then you had a holiday. We'll start off by saying that Sam Basford recommended me getting you onto the podcast. He was the first person that he said immediately. So why would he say that? You tell us why he would recommend you.
Well, to be honest, I'm not sure, but because there's an awful lot of good people in pickleball, really. But I've known Sam a good number of years, and he's seen, obviously, and heard of some of the things that I've done over time. And well, he's obviously sat up and taken notice, but Sam is definitely following in my footsteps, and all good people, and he's up to some amazing things these days. So I really am chuffed that Sam did mention me. So that's a great plus. So thanks, Sam.
Well, tell us a little bit then about where pickleball began for you. Like, when did it start? When did you first get interested in pickleball?
Mm. Well, this is a strange one, really. I was in Thailand. We have a holiday home in Hua Hin, and I very fortunately met a lady there, Alison Fulton, who was a former Scottish international badminton player, and we had the badminton chat. Somebody said, "You know Alison?" And I said, "No, we haven't met, but I do know she's interested in badminton. I saw her at the Thailand Open." So we got chatting about badminton, and the fact that we've both been involved, and we both knew many people from our past, which was quite amazing. Saying we'd never personally met. And then afterwards, she said, "Do you still play badminton?" I said, "I've been playing a little bit, but I did finish because of achy and old-fashioned knees and stuff like that." So she then said, "Well, I play this game pickleball now," and of course, I couldn't believe I'd worked in sport for sort of 30 odd years and never heard the word pickleball. And she said, I lived 6 months in Florida and 6 months in Thailand. So when I come back next year, I will bring some paddles and we'll have a go. We'll have a swing." And that's really how it came, as casual as that. So I waited almost a whole year for these paddles to arrive, and when they did, um, we had our first knock at a place called Palm Hills, and I was hooked immediately. I thought I could handle it even with my dodgy knees, and I really enjoyed the experience. And then from then on, it grew into eventually a full blown club over in Ireland, and that still thrives. And it's split into various other smaller clubs now. So, but in Hua Hin now, there's probably three or four places that you can play pickleball.
Oh, nice. Nice. How long ago was that?
Uh, I think it was either late 2014 or very early 2015. I would imagine. My memory's getting a bit long now. Excuse me. But yeah, from that, the club and pickleball has grown immensely in Hua Hin. Hua Hin as a holiday destination has everything for the pickleball visitor. So there's some great pickleball there. There's now probably three or four events where you can play. A couple of clubs, as you always get splits off from the mother club, for want of a better word. But that's no bad thing. And today there's quite a lot of choice. Great hotels, good beaches, low cost of living. So there's lots of reasons for Hua Hin to be a great pickleball destination.
Great. You sound like a travel agent. When did you decide that you wanted to do something more than just play in pickleball?
Well, when I come home to the north of England, I missed it tremendously. I hated the fact that I couldn't play pickleball for another 6 months until I went back again. So I decided to approach the local authority where I used to work, which was Burnley, and had a chat with the team there and said, "Look, you've got to take notice of this new sport. It's going to be great. It's great for the healthy lifestyles people, and it's also a new additional sport for anybody that wants to play socially and even rise through to something competitively. But pickleball can't be ignored for much longer." So yeah, I'm pleased to say they took me at my word, and we introduced pickleball into 50 plus money. And very soon that went from 1 court to 2 courts to 3 courts of pickleball. And then the start of a club in an evening, what could be open then to people who didn't qualify for the over 50s morning.
Yeah. So did pickleball already exist in the UK with a limited number of clubs at that time, or were you the first?
Yeah, it existed at the time. I understand from my searching for it that the nearest place to the northwest would have been Oxford. I think there was 3 places in the UK. Lockerbie was one, Oxford was another one, and I think the third was down in Kent or somewhere like that. But there was nothing at all north of Oxford, and it would have been, I don't know, 4 hour drive for me to go and play anyway. Lovely Lockerbie would have been nearer for me. But yeah, so really it was that was the start of pickleball in the, if you like, the north of England.
Yeah, fantastic. So you so these days you're a regional director for the Northwest region on behalf of Pickleball England. So tell us a little bit about what that role entails. What does a normal week look like if you have a normal week? Hi, Mark Mars here. I hope you're enjoying the show. This podcast is sponsored in part by the Pickleball Addiction store and newsletter. To support the show, please check out the Pickleball Addiction store at pickleballaddiction.co, where we stock a wide range of paddles, balls, nets and other accessories. Use coupon code POD10, that's POD10, to get 10% off your first purchase. You can also check out the Pickleball Addiction newsletter at pickleballaddiction.news, where we cover the latest news in pickleball from the UK and around the world. Thanks for your support, and now back to the show.
That's a good one. Well, the reason I kind of finished up being a Northwest Regional Director is that following on from the club at Burnley, I then started to spread the word around the Northwest, and we kind of sorted out a small Northwest Association, even before Pickleball England ever existed. So at the time when there was some consideration being made to a national governing body, they approached me to see if I would, join and throw my cap in the ring with them, which I was quite happy to do. And then obviously a lot of what I do from a Northwest perspective is guided by what Pickleball England are trying to roll out nationally. But I don't think there's such a thing as a normal day, really. I mean, we have everything from organising Northwest activities, representing the Northwest, pickleball festivals, doubles leagues, answering enquiries, training volunteers, putting on leaders courses. I mean, it's a full-time job now. It's aspired really from something that might have been initially in the early days, a few hours a week to um, pickleball every day for quite a few hours really. And if you add to that some of the travel to get to pickleball venues, then it's quite a considerable commitment. And I'm just very lucky really that Trina, my partner, is um, willing, if you like, to give me enough rope to get out there and do these kind of things. And well, although she's not a pickleball fan as such, or doesn't play, she's quite happy to let me roam around and do what I need to do for Pickleball England. So, equipment loans, dropping nets off, you name it, we've got it. But the actual enquiries and emailing and admin side of things, particularly as Pickleball England's tried to get ratified with Sport England, has been considerable.
Yeah. What would you say in the last sort of 12 months or so? Has it been a noticeable increase even in that short period of time?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I keep saying we're on a pickleball boom, really, to be honest. And it is getting difficult, really, to handle the volume of work. Really,
Yeah.
I mean, Karen Mitchell and I both agree that it's a full-time job. The pay's lousy, but it's a full-time job. Obviously, it's for the love of the game, and we do what we do for the desire to, promote pickleball and take it out to the masses. And the things that have, we've reached, I think, over the last certainly 2 years has been incredible. Yeah, the growth is, unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah. It's because, if anybody's got like a pulse on it, it's kind of you guys, and seeing just how many, I think we can probably judge how many emails you've got unread in your inbox by how quickly it's growing. And, over the last few years. But I mean, I've only been really in the game less than a year, so all I've got is the evidence of the size of the Open last year, which was around 450 people, and the size of the Open this year, which was 1100. So that's all I've got.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real testament. A real testament. I mean, even just judging from my point of view, I only need to switch my phone off for a couple of hours and switch it back on. And, the number of times I say, oh, look at this, I've got 40 messages, and probably 39 of them are pickleball. So, there really is, sort of interest. And since we've been in the spot with all these fantastic articles in the major newspapers, again, that's just added, if you like, to the fact that they're helping now promote pickleball. I always felt it was the promotion previously was from within, but now there's people on the outside taking notice and helping with that task of getting the word pickleball out there. So many people at one stage used to just say
Mm,
pickleball, what the heck's that? But now you can say the word pickleball and a lot of people know what you mean, which is tremendous.
yeah, I mean, it's pretty much 2 or 3 times a week every week.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously we welcome that. It's great to get our sport out there and get it onto the lips of influential um, magazines, newspapers, and individuals. It's really good.
Yeah. No, it's fantastic, and I guess that's what I'm trying to do myself as well with this podcast and the newsletter that I write. Just trying to spread the word a little bit more to some new people and get people knowing what's going on actually as well. Because it's one thing being interested in pickleball, and I know that my local club, they don't go to any events generally. I'm actually starting to get a few of them actually going along now, but they don't really know anything on outside of the social they have once a week or twice a week at the club. So it's it's good for everybody to kind of know what else is going on and what opportunities there are.
Well, that pretty much was the case for me. I mean, I think about some of the early tournaments really, and I was the token northerner really of them too. And in fact, that's why I got adopted by Slap and London Pickleball and many of the Southerners. A lot of my friends in pickleball have come from down south, but we've been friends now for a good number of years. But yeah, I mean, I remember going to these places, and like I said, I'd be the only northern gruff voice in the place, really. So, yeah, I mean, the fact now that there's good representation, not just in the northwest, but other parts of the country, is great. It's not just a southern, but even though that's the most dynamic and most fast growing sort of area because of the density of the population around the south, but. I mean, it's fabulous, really, that pickleball's reaching into rural communities, single court venues, and so old and young alike. Now we're tapping on the doors of um, the youth an awful lot more. So there is more young people coming into pickleball, and I mean, at one stage it was seen as this almost a retirement sport for people who couldn't play tennis or badminton or table tennis any longer. But I think certainly there's a huge shift in the attitude towards pickleball as a sport right across the board, either socially and healthy lifestyle, and good mental health sort of thing, as well as people who've missed that competitive element from the retirement from other sports, who are now finding they can enter and play at different levels within pickleball, and still put some of that competitive element they've been missing back into the life. I certainly missed it when I finished playing badminton. I was probably lost for, I don't know, 89 years before pickleball came along, and it was certainly life changing for me, and I believe it's life changing
Mm.
for a lot of people now.
It really is. It makes a huge difference. I mean, when I was younger, I played a bit of tennis with a tennis club, and you kind of get older, and you think, why didn't I carry that on? Like I was quite good at it, I enjoyed it, and as a kid, you just think you've got forever, right? And then you get to an age where you go, oh, there's no chance of being a tennis pro anymore. I'm too old, and no chance of playing football anymore. I'm too old. But pickleball, I think, is even given me like a new lease of life. Like, oh wow, I can really kind of start to play something. Tennis courts are big, right? There's a lot of running on tennis courts, so yeah, pickleball courts are much easier to kind of get around, and I'm really enjoying kind of a new lease of life of getting better at a game and improving in a game myself. So
Yeah, I don't think that there's a doubt. The number of people that now come to me sort of say, "Wow, this has changed what I do. It's changed my weekly routine. It's changed my life." And obviously for the better, certainly for the players. I'm not sure it's a good thing for all the pickleball widows and widowers that are left at home that have not
Right.
joined the pickleball bandwagon yet. But yeah, I mean, for a lot of people, it certainly has had a very positive influence on their life and how they spend the time. And what I'm finding as well is that players don't just go to let's just say it's a club or a group with play once a week. Then they go into two or three other groups as well because once a week's just not enough
Yeah,
pickleball for them. So they're always looking for the next opportunity to
definitely.
play.
Definitely. I mean, I play 3 times a week myself. My wife's not sporty at all. She's more of a yoga kind of, exerciser. Does those more of those kind of things. And but she suggested, oh, why don't we go down and on a Saturday and play with the kids? I mean, I've been taking the kids down myself anyway, so now she's getting involved and playing a little bit, even though she's not really that way inclined. But I've got 3 kids, so I'm kind of grooming them to be my pickleball clan when they're older, because there'll be 4 of us then. There'll be them 3, and then me. So the youngest one's only 4, so I've got a few years to go, but I'm playing the long game that, I'll have a good pickleball team down the road to play with.
Oh, good for you. So you're going to be like the Williams sisters' father, are you really? Where you groom them to be the top of the tree in pickleball, and then travel the world on pickleball and should we say the tournaments that they can then win. I think that's a great move, that Matt. Well thought out.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, I mean, I was more being selfish and thinking that's 3 people that I can play with later on. But get caught in the garden at some point. But yeah, but no, yeah, definitely if they want to take it up, they're really enjoying it, of course.
Really, because when we've had sort of more open
Yeah,
sessions and some youngsters have been, allowed along and they've played, they've really all enjoyed it. I think it's a pleasurable game, as I said, no matter what your age or ability, really. And in fact, I've been speaking very recently to a couple of clubs in my region about a family set weekend, which is something that we haven't done yet. But it's definitely on the cards. I have an agreement from one club to take this forward, and another group just putting on some junior coaching. So, so there's huge strides being made now into encouraging, school age and young people into pickleball. And the other good thing is that over in the USA, a lot of the eminent kind of tennis coaches are realizing the benefits of the relationship between pickleball and tennis, and the real mini ones, they started them off with pickleball and then transitioning them into tennis when they're a little bit older. So, I think there's a good relationship to be had between pickleball and tennis, other racket sports really to some degree, for training young people and transitioning them into the sport.
yeah, for sure. So it seems, talking about events, it seems like you post almost every day on social media about an event you're attending or that you're involved in some way. So I wondered, do you think you've attended more pickleball events than anybody else in the UK?
Okay. Oh, that's a good question. I think at one time I probably might have done, but I had a bit of a blip a couple years back with a serious health issue that clipped my wings for a while. So over the last sort of 2.5 years, I've not been able to do the visiting and going around to where I would like to. And and the other side of the thing that made things not as accessible in some ways is the way that the cost of transport, the petrol and diesel went up, and I mean, I had a real bad habit of needing to fill the car about twice a week for pickleball journeys, really. So when the price really went up to part of two quid for a litre, then I had to sort of cut back on some of what I was doing. But yeah, at one stage I probably would have been in the lead on that one, but I'm sure there's other people now that are catching up and bypassing me on that one. But I still like to get out and about wherever I can, and I get invited to a lot of pickleball events and festivals and so on and so forth. And I do try and lend my support where I can. But at the same time, I'm not always available. You've got to get in early these days, I'm afraid. So, it's particularly weekends. I don't get many free weekends at all over the course of a year.
Yeah, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. But yeah, as well, I noticed when I was looking, doing a little bit of research on your background, that you've not only played events in the UK, you played lots of events around the world. So I was just wondering if you could share some of the most memorable moments of those events, and where have you played for the audience?
Oh my goodness. Quite a few places really, I suppose. I think my very first tournament was in Madrid because we didn't have any in England or UK then at all. And I made two semi-finals. So the first attempt, I was really pleased with that and came home absolutely delighted, and obviously enthused to do something similar again. I think the next tournament was in Holland in Amsterdam, and we got a gold in ladies doubles at 3.5 with Sheena McDonald from Scotland, who's another player that comes out to Whiting quite regularly. So that was great. I once played in Kiev, which was now you look at, I watch the news now and see what's happening with Ukraine. Um, and some of the places in the
Mm,
backdrop for the newsreader, I've been to and I've visited and everything. So that in itself was an experience before. And whether we'll ever get the chance to go to Kiev or Kyiv as they call it now with for any other reason, I don't know, because times are very sad for there. So that was truly memorable to play that, and I had a golden ladies doubles there. So again, it's always nice when you come back with a medal as a memory, but it's not totally essential. The experience of a different place, different culture, meeting
yeah.
people is really what I play pickleball for. I just enjoy meeting people. I'm a bit of a people person, and probably I've got to say the most exhilarating experience was when I played in the Indian Open in Mumbai with Atul Edwards, and we won the mixed doubles. And if you've never experienced an event with an Indian partisan crowd, it was incredible, and that in itself was it was just that they had television cameras
Right.
there, they had people to interview you. You felt as if you were almost a full blown pickleball celebrity, for want of a better word. It was incredible. It was unbelievable, and people wanted photographs. I mean, after we'd won, we were still there on the court 2 hours later, having photographs taken and interviews and like that. So that in itself was an incredible experience, and I've followed Indian pickleball obviously very close to heart since, and I mean, the play there and their enthusiasm is just tremendous. So, but I mean, everywhere I've gone, it doesn't matter which country I've played in, I've come back having had a very positive experience. Coming back with new friends, more Facebook friends, more people to keep in touch with. Yeah, and I just love to travel. Football's a great reason to travel to another country and just enjoy the experience. It's great.
Yeah. It's really taking off in India, isn't it? I mean, we had some Indian players, didn't we, at the Open, and they were fantastic. They were fantastic.
They're tremendous players in India, but to be honest, they've been playing a long time in India.
Mm.
People don't realise this that India, I think, started probably through Sunil Valavalkar about probably 8, 9, 10 years before we did in the UK, and in Singapore even longer. I believe in Singapore there's been some form of pickleball there for probably 25, 30 years. So it's just that it's been a minority sport that's been kept within the boundaries, and now people are uh, breaking out of the countries. It's just amazing now. Uh, how many tournaments there are and festivals that are now bringing people together from different countries. The start of the Bainbridge Cup when that was first played in Spain was a unique opportunity. That was superb, and went on for a number of years. The fact that it morphed into something else, I don't think has particularly helped it as such. But that's still probably a possibility. And then you get in all these. They just had the Asian Games in Taiwan with all the Asian countries coming together. So these things, just knocking pickleball apart. Really, you just can't keep up with what's happening in the world. Australia, the game's grown rapidly, and I believe they've got over 20,000 registered players there now. So yeah, it's not just on our patch. This is a worldwide thing at the moment. Yeah, it's booming everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So you've run a lot of events now. If you had to estimate how many events you've been part of or been tournament director for, how many would you say it would be?
Oh, I've no idea really, if I'm honest. Um, I know we've just done our fifth Northwest Pickleball Festival. which is obviously something we started back in, I think, 2017 or something, with a couple of years out for COVID. So that was just the fifth. So we've done that every year. I'm just planning the fourth Thailand Open, and then lots of other regional ones. I mean, we do a 10 league Northwest doubles every month. There's 10 divisions, sorry, not 10 leagues, 10 divisions of the Northwest doubles every month, and then lots of other little things that we need to even reintroduce. I did a regional tournament for the Northwest going back a few years just before I had my health problem, and that needs to be restored. It's just time and personal time, and the single biggest problem for getting all these events up and running and off the ground is the availability of facilities. That's a big struggle.
Yeah, that definitely feels like the next step. I've spoken to a lot of people, and it feels like that is the natural next thing. We're running out of badminton courts. We need some dedicated facilities.
Sure, and I do believe we've got about 30,000 badminton courts in in the UK. But the thing is, it's not just pickleball that's in some use of those badminton courts. It's netball, it's indoor tennis, volleyball, aerobics classes, spinning classes, all
Yeah,
these kind of things that just put pressure on that sports hall space. Really, I think we're very lucky when we get to a venue where it is purely a badminton court, like they might have at Milton Keynes, or they have at the Scottish Badminton Centre, and there's no other um conflict of any other lines. When we get what I call a clean badminton court rather than one with multitude of lines,
yeah.
it's really a joy. It really is a joy to play on, really, to be fair. And the courts in Telford, the English Open, superb, absolutely so. There's not a player that went, of the 1100 that played, that were not suitably impressed by the layout there. And I think for many of us, it would have been the first time that we would have played on a pure pickleball court without the tram lines, etc. And that made it a tremendous experience. It really.
Well, that was my first tournament, Elaine. So I had high expectations after that.
Well, I think you might be disappointed now, because obviously that's not something that can be done at every event. The
No.
majority events will be on the badminton courts with a multitude of lines, or the tennis centres with taped courts out. But I mean, the main thing is that we get to play. It doesn't matter what we play on. It's the people that make it. It is nice if you get the luxury. It's like perhaps driving a Jaguar as opposed to your small family saloon. But when you get that experience, it is memorable, and so many people will go away from that
Mhm.
tournament in Telford with an amazing memory of a wonderful experience. In some cases, it might never be repeated. So it really was amazing.
Yeah, I still smile just thinking about it now. I couldn't stop grinning when I was there. It was a brilliant experience, and
I got goosebumps when I walked in.
I've been to Arizona since and been on some dedicated courts as well since then. So that was great too. But it really makes a difference being on
How
the.
did you find the difference between the indoor game and the outdoor game, Mark? How did you feel about that? Would it have been first time outdoors?
That was first time outdoors, and I really, really liked it because it was on. We went to a resort where they run one of the PPA events, so it was called Desert Ridge in Arizona.
All right.
So they have 16 floodlit pickleball courts
Fab.
there. Obviously, it was really hot; it was 100 degrees, but I liked it. But what I was surprised about was because we're in the desert there. There's not really much wind, but of what wind there was, it did affect the ball. The heat obviously was a problem, even playing early in the morning, and the sun would occasionally be a problem in getting your eyes. So, although I imagine that as being like the peak, it wasn't. There were some downsides that I hadn't really contemplated, and I actually played on some indoor courts in Arizona as well, which are air conditioned, they're brand new, pristine, and actually that was even better, of the best of the lot, because it didn't have the downsides of the outside, but had all the benefits of inside,
Excellent.
but outside, outside courts, but inside, and that was amazing.
Yeah, I'll bet. Well, one day we might have something similar here. That would be wonderful, wouldn't it? No,
Yeah, one
wait
day
with
soon,
bated
hopefully.
breath. Yeah, it would be great.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they've already got the facility now in Telford, which has got the Pickleball United courts. It's still not quite the same as having an asphalt court.
Yeah, I think they're very lucky in Telford, and I think that's a great start. I'd look forward to other, even just smaller bite-sized developments like that with, 2, 3 court venues. If they are permanent, then they don't. I mean, a club might need a 4 court hall because they've only got 1 or 2 hours a
Yeah.
week. But if a club has, even 1 court or 2 courts for their exclusive use, then obviously that'd be used a multitude of times in a week, and that would be a great start. I've been on the lookout for something similar for a long, long time, and never. Well, we got very close one time with an old industrial mill, if I'm honest, where we thought we'd um, acquired an appropriate space with some indoor space and an outdoor court that would have gone under the old cotton bale store, which was a roof with open sides, which was tremendous. And then there was an objection from some of the businesses near about sharing that space. And even though we'd paid a deposit at the time, we got it returned
Ah,
and it was
yeah.
withdrawn. And I've never found anything since that touched anywhere near that. Every time I drive down the M6, and every time a new unit goes up on the sideline, whether it's for a pallet company or a big business, I say, look how many
Mm,
pickleball courts we could get in there. That'd be brilliant, wouldn't it? So I think everybody's on the lookout
yeah.
for the right opportunity.
Yeah, there are vacant industrial units in that, but they're just so expensive generally. Trying to make it financially viable is the next challenge, isn't it?
On the unit or even the purchase, it's the business rates around that and some of the other you know expenses in running a place. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of thought needs to go into these things, to be honest. But it would be wonderful if at some point um, each region would have something of reasonable standing that could perhaps encompass maybe 4, 6, 8 courts and be more available for pickleball at should we say peak time? Because I mean, everybody approaches a sports centre at the moment and says, got a new game, new pickleball club of 20 members or whatever. I've got, we'd book this over a regular period, and you get offered Friday night 8 till 10, and that's the only thing in a week if you're lucky. I mean, I recently had somebody been offered at a sports centre. Sunday evening 9 o'clock. Well, it's hardly the most popular time, is it? So it is difficult now to secure the facilities at the right time, and it's still one of the reasons I think that there's a huge support and following for pickleball during the day, because the retired people are available and can use that. But for any younger people or people who are working or school age, it's very difficult, to get in the midweek evenings and the weekends. And that goes the same for any special events. I mean, I'm looking for an 8 court venue for another event for a weekend or a long weekend, and there's
Yeah.
just not that many here in the northwest. Yeah, it would be wonderful. It would be great if there were a bigger facility, but there isn't. We've got one facility in the northwest with more than 8 courts, and unfortunately, they're not in great order really for decent pickleball. So I'm waiting for a refurb on them before we make a proposal. They know I'm interested. I'm hovering in the background. I keep telling them, let me know when you've done your refurb, and I'll be in there. But yeah, it's just very difficult to secure the right place at the right time.
You have a background in sports funding, I noticed. So my question to you is twofold, I guess. What needs to happen for pickleball to start getting some more funding where it needs it, and what kind of funding might pickleball expect if and when that does arrive?
Well, that's a really good question. Yeah, I mean, obviously, I've been involved in through my sports development background an awful lot of lottery bids and so on and so forth. Many of which have been successful. But really, it needs pickleball to be fully recognised and ratified by Sport England, um, to be able to access a bit more easily public funds. I do believe there's been some small pockets of funding from the small grants award people, and any funding is welcome. Um, but if we're going to look for something big in terms of
Mm.
improving facilities or making a purpose-built facility or something like that, I do believe we need to be signed into Sport England alongside all the other national governing bodies of sport, like tennis, like cricket, like whatever. Um, and I think that would make a huge difference. And then people would be able to apply for funding from, as I said, from the small grants committee when you're looking for paddles nets and so on and so forth, or some seed money to make a project happen. But alongside some match funding, then there's an opportunity to be, really, really going in search of something bigger. Thinking of people who might be looking at converting a facility. But I think that's the single biggest thing that will certainly influence the providers of funding. When you almost say that, well, we've applied for it, but we quite achieved that yet, doesn't have the same impact as being with national governing body and fully ratified by Sport England. It doesn't have the same impact, even though that's been quite a
Yeah.
long process so far. We're still in the throes of crossing the finishing line with that.
Yeah, hopefully that'll come sooner rather than later. I know that we're well on the road for that. So yeah, that'd be great when it happens, and we can see what will come of that, and opportunities that brings.
Yeah, the one thing that will help on the smaller projects now is the fact that people's finding its way into the news. It's becoming a word now on the end of people's tongues, much more freely than it's previously. So where before you might have been putting an application into a local sports council or a request grant or something like that, hopefully someone at the decision making board will now have heard the word pickleball, where they won't. If they'd done that 2 years ago, they'd probably say, no, like everybody else, pickleball, what's that? But now, as I said, we've had some great press
Yeah,
coverage where people are beginning to sit up and take
yeah.
notice of the game. So even at the lower level, I think some of that thing is just starting to happen as well. The fact that it's out there and making such great progress, this boom I keep talking about, is now just beginning to open some.
In terms of sticking on the theme of the events, like I'm very much looking forward to the nationals, and as I understand, it's not the first time it's been held at Bolton. So, I wonder if you can tell me at least a little bit about the venue and what I can expect, and if you know of any changes that you're making from previous events to kind of make it better for things maybe where it fell short previous years.
Yeah, well, I mean, Bolton, the tennis arena at Bolton was built for the Manchester Commonwealth Games and was the host for the badminton event at the time. And of course, it's very, I think it's very much tennis centred, really. But when Pickleball England made the inquiry, thankfully they were very open to the diversity of use. And I think this will be our third nationals in Bolton. The other thing that's fabulous about Bolton is that it's right next to the football ground. It's on a sort of a modern day, if you like, retail park with hotels, with restaurants, with a pub, other supermarket, petrol, and all that kind of thing. So it's everything within very easy reach of it, really, to support a good event venue. Um, the floor is a kind of a red floor, so for tennis courts. So it is an outdoor surface, although it obviously it's within a hall with the roof and everything. And the number of people that ask me every year, why are we playing with an outdoor ball when we play inside? Well, it's because the surface is actually what be an outdoor surface. So that's why the Franklin X40 ball is the ball of choice for the English Open. Sorry, for the English Nationals, and that plays beautifully on that surface indoors. As I say, it's got good changing room, good facilities, great parking. There's even a couple of people that stay in the motorhomes round one corner at the side and save themselves some hotel money. The Premier is right across the road, and the hotel belonging to Bolton Wanderers is adjacent to it. So it's got every site really to make a good event. Sadly, it's just not quite big enough to bring, if you like, uh, the courts that we had at Telford. We can't accommodate as many courts as we would need to run tournament if we put the rollout courts down, and of course that would mean extra days in terms of hire of the facility to do that. Of course, more cost in the team that needs to do the laying. So there will be taped courts, unfortunately. So
Yeah.
people coming on from the English Open in Telford, it won't perhaps have the same impact. There is a plan at the moment to make the show court one of the rollout courts where obviously some finals and the main events will be held in terms of a sort of small spectating arena. So yeah, it's got everything that's and people have enjoyed, and feedback I've had from previous years said, what a great event, what a great venue, it's superb, the hotel's just across the road, we can just walk to it, or if we need anything, the retail park's just next door. um,
Yeah.
so yeah, I think there's but it's like in any other big facility. There's a huge call on the availability of that space, and we need to. Well, it has been, but 12 months in advance. In fact, I think there was a 3-year contract in, so it may well be that it might not be Bolton in the future. It might be the last one, who knows? Depending on whether Pickleball England can find a more suitable facility to host that English Nationals. We'd be sad. We'd be sad to lose it from our region, but we think we're very lucky to have had it for 3 years. We really do, because quite often in the past, majority of events have been further down south. It's wonderful that we've been able to receive people in the north and show off some of our strengths from our region. And I think we'll miss that if that's not the case. It has really been a joy to host for the last 3 years.
Yeah. I mean, obviously I don't know the financial viabilities and everything, but I guess Telford, a couple of halls in Telford might be enough, in the future where they can host something like the Nationals potentially, I guess.
Yeah, well, it's a time for exploring everything, and I mean, to be honest, I'm not sure what if any new facilities went up in Birmingham for the last Commonwealths. There may well be something around in Birmingham that could be used or
Mm.
modified, something like that. But it's great if it is mid-country, really, for other people travelling from really. That's somewhere in the Midlands is absolutely ideal. But we have been very
Hmm.
fortunate that Bolton has been, a great home venue for the English Nationals for the last 3 years. Long may it continue, but there is some good competition out there. I think the one thing about Bolton, really, apart from the fact that it has got everything, is that it was cost effective as well compared with some of the other venues. So there's a huge bill for court space when you run all these events. I mean,
Mm.
I think Karen on her
Mm.
last podcast said that the cost of putting on the English Open in Telford was something like £250,000. I'm not saying this is anywhere near that, but it's still a significant amount of money. Well, from if I've got this right, remember this. I think it needs 75 countries represented in that sport with a single national governing body on 4 continents, and of those 75 countries, in I think 40, it's 40, 40 of those countries need to have women representing that sport as well, would be the base for going forward as an Olympic sport. Um, I think there's a lot of good work going on at the moment, and there's a lot of work trying to bring the world governing bodies together, try and make it a singular world governing body. Um, but again, that's not quite happened yet, so it is an area of concentration for some people. Um, those would be the basics to even get it on the table for consideration. I think next time the Olympics is in America, which I think is 2028. Is Los Angeles, Paris next, and then Los Angeles, and then Brisbane. I do think there's perhaps an opportunity to get people as a demonstration sport, especially with the growth in the US. I've got to be honest, I don't have clues dealing with that, or if it's even a thought. But I would have thought that might be a good opportunity. And then, of course, with the growth of pickleball in Australia, if we look at Brisbane for 2032, God, that seems forever away. Then that again might be another possibility. Really, I don't. People mutter about it, and I've even got a T-shirt with pickleball and some Olympic rings on the front. Everybody would love to see it as an Olympic sport, but how long it's going to take to get there, I'm not sure. Unfortunately, these things have a way of, just sort of dragging the feet a little bit. There are, I think, 4 new sports being introduced for this next one. Uh, so whether we can get as one of those new sports for one of the ones in the future, it would be, well, it would be fabulous, really. Whether it's realistic or not at this stage, I'm not fully sure. I don't think we're ready for it yet. I think pickleball's an awful lot more progress to be made. If it can be made in that time scale, fantastic. I'm not sure.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, not anytime soon, but maybe in the next decade or two, maybe. But yeah, that's a really good insight. Actually, that kind of makes sense. And obviously, the Olympics are planned so far
It's
out
definitely
as
something
well.
we should definitely aspire to it, without doubt, because it's seen as the pinnacle really of world participation is to be an Olympic sport. And yet there are some other major sports out there that are fairly common. Netball, for example, it's not Olympic sport. It's not played in enough countries and so on and so forth. So I do think we can tick box eventually, but I don't think we're quite ready yet. It is an optimistic thought, but it's something we should definitely work towards and aspire to, without a doubt. That would be amazing.
Okay. So is there anything, being an insider, is there anything that you have that that's going on, that's happening, that you're able to share that might be interesting or exciting for the audience?
Oh, now then. I don't think there's anything, anything major, but one thing, whether you see it as a good thing or a bad thing or not at the moment, is it's interesting to see that the LTA have started to promote pickleball on the LTA website. Now, I know there was discussion with the LTA
Yeah.
a good number of years back regarding pickleball, and at that point, they really weren't that interested. But I think pickleball is getting very very difficult to ignore these days, because the progress that we've made, the people that we've got involved and the clubs that we've been uh, developing. Have obviously gone through the roof, and I don't think any other sport could ignore, if you like, the growth of the numbers in pickleball in the last 12 to 18 months. So it is interesting. I think we had some conversation with the LTA about how we could benefit each other. Um, I wasn't party to that meeting. I wasn't present, but that's the representative from Pickleball England. So I don't really have much information on how that went, but I know at least there was some communication. And as I understand it, an agreement to support and kind of partnership and work together. I personally, personal opinion, would not be keen on the LTA having the governance of pickleball. I think pickleball come so far on goodwill, fresh air, and no money. Um, the job in hand has been done incredibly well by the people, everybody involved, and I think it'd be a shame at this moment in time to lose, if you like, uh, the overall control of pickleball to a bigger governing body like the LTA. So I think it is exciting times. The one thing I will say from my point of view is that since COVID, when sports halls were shut, and we managed to get some pickleball into tennis facilities, the tennis facilities in themselves became interested from the point of view it was generating uh, some income, some new members, some secondary spend, and so on and so forth. So if they got to a point where a few of the tennis clubs now have, if they've had a deserted, underused court, for example, start to think about converting. In fact, some have converted to a pickleball facility. So I think the relationship between pickleball and tennis has come closer, which is great to see. I mean, even this week, I've probably had two tennis coaches that have come forward to say, "I'd really like to become qualified in pickleball. How do I go about it?" And these people who are sort of self-employed tennis coaches that use a variety of facilities, but they're now seeing it as I mean, one of them actually I spoke to about 4 years ago, and I actually got him playing pickleball. But his uptake wasn't great. He wasn't convinced it was for him. He didn't see that he could make an income from it over and above what he was doing with his tennis. But the interesting thing is now he's come back and said, "I'd really like to become qualified at pickleball." So that again, that's just a measure of the progress of pickleball. I believe. So yeah, it's exciting times, I think, really. So as I say, it's nothing major. They've come maybe closer together as two sports running parallel that see that they can benefit each other. But how things will go up at the top between the LTA as a governing body and Pickleball England at this stage, I'm not sure. So I think that's quite exciting. And the second thing is, right from the word go, I've always been one of the ones in Pickleball England to support the development of its own leadership and coaching structure. And we always had at one stage to bring over somebody from America to get people to become qualified with the IPTPA or something similar. Um, but because I'd written, if you like, the leadership award, which has been really well received, and I think at last count we trained over 150 now qualified leaders of pickleball nationwide, which is tremendous. The impact these people are having on the growth of pickleball is mind blowing, really, to be honest. And I've been really chuffed to be involved in that. But Sam and Rob Williams are also now taking that further forward, and Pickleball England will have its own coaching structure with a level one, etc. So again, that's an exciting thing, I think, from within. And it will be brought over a national governing body in this country that doesn't have its own uh, uh, coaching structure, really. So once that's completed, again, I think that will be just another measure of how well the national governing body's done on behalf of pickleball to help it move forward. And Sam and Rob have obviously been doing a great job with that. So well done to them.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just did my level one with Sam on the Isle of Wight on Sunday as well. So I've
Okay,
just
there
done
you
mine
go.
too.
There you go. I think people go away from these things inspired. It always gives me a little flutter, really. I mean, I did a leaders course at David Lloyd in Cheadle last weekend, and to be honest, we could have sold that 2 or 3 times over. In fact, Karen's asked me to put another couple on. I've done 3 leaders courses in the last sort of 2 weeks. I do another one on Friday, in the last 2 weeks, really, and it's still not enough. The demand's still there. But I always get a little flutter when we put something on Facebook and people say what a good course it's been and how much they've learned, and how they can take that forward and pass that on to other people. But all these leaders come in, whether they paid for their own course or the club have paid for it as well. Um, for them, they're there to learn and develop the skills to then go back and impart that onto other people. So I always say thank you for the time and for what they do, because it's pickleball that will be the benefit of what they're doing. And so for people to donate that time and money and travel, for the benefit of others, I think is truly admirable. And I just love being involved with the leaders course.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, yeah, teaching people, and I've always been involved in people and helping people, and it's I love that kind of thing. There's no better feeling than people feeling that they've helping people out. So yeah, I enjoy that too. Okay, so I think we're around the hour mark now, Elaine. So just got a couple closing questions for you. So what I guess the first one is, what's one question that I should have asked you that I didn't?
Probably one that's a great memory for me, really, something I'm incredibly proud of, was that I got nominated for Pickleball Hall of Fame by Hilton. I suppose this could have come in my favourite moments in pickleball, but it wasn't actually a pickleball playing moment, if you know what I mean. But I got a letter from the Hall of Fame saying that I've been nominated, as a Hall of Famer, which would have been tremendous. And that was alongside some other really high-flying and powerful people in pickleball, and I was really just proud of the fact that I've been mentioned in the same breath as some of these names. But the thing with that is, as it stands at the moment, I didn't get admitted to the Hall of Fame, and that's absolutely fine. I'm not too worried about that. Just the nomination itself is just a precious moment, if you like. And I'm the first person to be nominated outside of America. All the others have been Americans. So even though I didn't get in the Hall of Fame as such, I was just so incredibly proud that I was one from the rest of the world, if you like, that had been nominated and put forward. So that were a precious moment for me. And Hilary Hilton Marrold is she's people call her Dame Hillary, and for every reason really. She's represented the US in 5 racket sports, and done so amazing in pickleball. And just even the fact that it was Hillary that had noticed I was up to, probably through, well, I have met her, but through social media and everything, and nominated me also was a special moment. So yeah, that's one I'm incredibly proud about.
That's fantastic. Yeah, I had not heard of that. I've just looked it up and Googled it now and found it. But that's amazing. I hadn't heard that. And I guess one thing I did forget to mention was that you had a mention in the King's Birthday Honours this year
Oh
in
yeah, I did.
2023. That
That
so how did that come about?
well, it was a letter. I can't believe it. Really, we got a letter from the cabinet office, and there's that it's a very imposing envelope, really, to be honest, and it said cabinet office on it. And when I got it, I thought, oh my God, what have I done? What's this about? And of course, I
Yeah,
opened it up, and I only got to probably the third line and burst into tears. I was just so touched and amazed, really, that. It's something like pickleball. And at that stage, it does actually just say something like, you have been put forward for a King's Honour in his birthday honours list. Obviously, you need to be discreet and don't tell anybody or anything like that. But I'd take that as that were a banker. I just thought that, well, I've been put forward. I'm not sure if I get it or not. But then on the date of the King's birthday honours list, when your name goes in the Gazette with an accreditation, and it was for services to pickleball, again, I had another little tear, if I'm honest, really, to be honest. When I think about it, I've been involved in sport all my life, really. I started as a 15-year-old, helping with the swimming club, and I've done about 53 years of volunteering. So to think that something like this came about through pickleball is, I can even get emotional now. I'm thinking thinking about it. But yeah, it was just mind blowing, really. And then you know, obviously the congratulations start to come
yeah,
in from everybody, and it's like a bite at the cherry, really. So yeah, I mean that in itself, I'm pleased on 3 counts. It's wonderful for me as an individual. It's fabulous. It's for pickleball because it's the first time it's been, I think, formally recognised outside of its own arena by someone else. And and thirdly, being a true northern lass, it's the northwest, so it's a first for the northwest. So I'm pleased on. I'm very proud on 3 counts, and I go to Lancaster Castle at the end of this month for that to be presented. And then next summer, I believe we go to Buckingham Palace to be as an invite to the garden party. So I'm looking forward to having one of them 27,000 vol au that I believe are on show. So yeah, I'm very proud.
yeah. Well, congratulations for that. Uh, okay, so Sam got me to invoke a tradition onto the podcast, which we didn't have one at the time, so we just copied somebody else's, which is to ask a question for the next guest for whom you don't know who that guest is going to be. So I'll get a question off you for the next guest after the podcast. But the question for you, posed by Steve Beale, who was the previous guest on the podcast, is what's the most important aspect that influences your satisfaction when turning up for a pickleball event? So it's quite good for you, I think, because it's events, but also he was looking at it as
Yeah,
market research.
I must be honest. So for me, it's really when the event's over and you start to look at the feedback. If you I mean, it's fabulous at the time when you see the joy on people's faces and how much they're enjoying it, and people come and tell you. But when it goes to print later and it's on social media, and it's a bit of extra PR for your event for next year, if people go away having had the best time, feeling they've had value for money, feeling that they've been invested in during the time with you, uh, then that's the thing for me. I think it's kind of when it's all over with, and you just look back and sit and look at the reaction. The planning stages are exciting, obviously, because you develop ideas as you roll along. Um, but having done an awful lot of events now, and I suppose I'm lucky really because a lot of it's a transferable skill from my previous employment in sport. So I've been involved in things like youth games and things like this where people go away having had what the very best experience that you can give them. And if there is anything to work on for next year, then we set about looking at it straight away and seeing if we can something in the pipeline. And the thing for me about a festival, because obviously we probably I'm renowned for the Northwest Festival as much as any other event, probably, is the fact that for me it is a true festival. It's a celebration of people being together. The pickleball side of things is wonderful, and the coaching and how people interact, that's great. But around that, that's why we try and do some food, some social activities, some gifts and goodie bags, some one or two surprises, bring in a couple of people that people might not expect. Um, you know, some of that works really well. So for me, it's the whole experience, if you like, of the time. And as I say, I'm seeing a lot of festivals these days, and rightly so. It's great that these are, people getting more choice because, the Northwest sells out really quick. I think we sold out in less than 15 minutes this time. But it's really good. I think that people can go to these festivals. But in some cases, these festivals are a couple of days play rather than a true festival in the sense of its entirety. And that's what I try and make our Northwest Festival, something that ticks all the boxes, some music, some singing, some food, some pickleball, some coaching, and so on and so forth. And if you like, we enjoy giving that to our people that attend, and we hopefully many of them have come back, and there's always a scramble when we issue a date for registration. If I had a bigger facility anywhere in the Northwest, then I would expand, but it's not been an option up to now, unfortunately. So, maybe if we had somewhere else, then that would be good.
Yeah, so that's a true festival in kind of every sense of the word, I guess. By the sounds of
Yeah,
it.
I mean, in some cases, it might be the only time you see somebody in a year. So I think to me, it's pickleball's the main reason to be together. But it's nice that we can add some other things to it and make it a really fun experience, really enjoyable experience.
Okay, fantastic. It sounds like I need to try and get into one of those. It's quite far for me to travel though. I'm right down on the south coast, but that sounds like a great event that you put on there.
Yeah, well, we've had some people travel from down south, so you'd be welcome, Mark. You'd be very welcome.
Okay, awesome. Well, maybe I will. Maybe I will next time. Let me know if people want to get hold of you. If they want to find you where you are. Where's the best people? Where's the best place for people to go?
Obviously, Pickleball England, and I've got Elaine at pickleballengland.org as an email address. Um, I've also on there with other details. So again, quite often, probably give out my personal email as well, which many people use in terms of pickleball. In fact, it's been swamped by pickleball, really, to be honest. So that would be my full name, Elaine Shallcross at hotmail.com, and a phone number of 07756 898 721. So with any of those three, I'm sure people can get hold of me if they really want. So.
Wow. Okay. Well, Elaine, it's truly been delightful speaking to you today. I just want to say thanks for coming on to the Pickleball Addiction podcast.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure to be invited, and I'm really glad that we got to do it at last, Mark, because it has been outstanding for a few weeks. My fault entirely, but yeah,
Yeah,
it's really good to sit down and have this chat. So yeah, I've enjoyed it. I've enjoyed it. It's been good. Well, I think it has anyway.
me too. well, thank you once again.